this meeting of Montgomery County School Board. We'll all rise for a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item is public conversation. We had 2 to sign up. I'm getting the names. Savannah Rose Dunn. Is she here? Okay. Catherine Suzanne Garrigan. You may walk to the podium. You'll see that when you get there, there's a turn on the microphone, pressing the right silver button, and the timer will display on your screen. The microphone will flash when you have 1 minute left of your time. And begin when you're ready. Silver button.
Like the sign says, my name is Catherine Garrigan. I'm a native Tennessean, and I've lived in Clarksville for the past decade. I have 2 children in public schools, and they are also, excuse me, they're also involved in having meetings with IEPs and all that entails. And I think we all know that the voucher program was passed in Tennessee a few weeks ago. And I had a front row seat to the committees and watched as it was basically rammed through legislation. There were several moments where we wanted questions answered and concerns that I think we kind of all have about the voucher program, how it's going to affect our students, how it's going to affect us as taxpayers. And when representatives in the committee raised their hands to have these questions addressed, they were not. They were actively dismissed, and it was moved for a vote, and that was the end of it. It didn't matter that our elected officials had questions and had concerns. In my experience, if you don't invite questions and interest to the people who are going to be affected by this the most, I feel that's a red flag, personally. As a parent, especially with 2 kids who have IEPs, I have a lot of concerns about the entire program throughout the state, but especially in this area. The vast majority of Tennessee are rural communities. I myself come from West Tennessee, where, the closest and only private schools that are in actively right now really are in Jackson, maybe outside of Memphis, but I think out of the 96 counties in Tennessee, about 51 have no access to a private education, aside from homeschools, etc. So, in that vein, we're all trying to find the answers. Whether or not you support this bill, I think that we can all agree that everyone's here for the same reason, and that is for our kids, or just because we have concerns about wanting to make sure that we can give them the best we can. One thing that came up a lot on the Hill a few weeks ago was the idea that competition, a healthy competition, will make our schools better across the board, right? The issue that I have with that is that there is already a competition that Tennessee is losing and has for some time. When it comes to the amount of money per student across the nation, Tennessee comes in around 44th. The national average per student invested is around between $20,000 to $24,000 per student per year. Tennessee is somewhere between $10,000 and $12,000, even on par with our competitors that, have the same means and have the same population and students. We're still behind. To my knowledge, the bill has said that the remedy for that is between 3% and 5% a bump each year for the existing budget for public schools. But 3 to 5% is essentially a cost of living raise. That does nothing to address the huge gap that we have in spending and in education. That competition is very real, and we're not really allowing our kids to even compete. Whenever they're graduates, all these other states have kids who have had so much more advantages. So, February 25th, we're getting together. We're having a concerned members meeting. Anyone is available. I welcome anyone who is up here behind a microphone, anyone who is in the audience at Burke Cobb Community Center from 5 to 7 on February 25th. I appreciate you allowing me to say this. We are having a meeting to all of us, community-wise, to collectively navigate how this is going to affect our county going forward for generations of Tennesseans to come. And I feel like it is not something that we can afford a misstep in. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next item is approval of consent agenda. I have a motion, Mr. Garland. A second, Ms. Berry. If you would, just please open the vote. Is everyone satisfied with their vote? Please close the vote. It passes 7-0. Thank you. Next item, policy monitoring, Dr. Linda Vetter.
Board, please find in your board packet information on Executive Limitation 3, Personnel Administration. This executive limitation has 15 compliance expectations that the Director of Schools shall assure the recruitment, employment, development, evaluation, and compensation of district employees, consultants, and contract workers in a manner necessary to not jeopardize its end policies, fiscal integrity, or public image of the district. As the director, I have not changed my own compensation or benefits, nor has any employee been promised nor implied permanent employment. The Human Resource Department has an applicant electronic tracking system and selection process to identify qualified, certified, and classified candidates. Additionally, there are easily understood policies and procedures developed and available for all employees to review. There are also multiple venues available for employees and the public for registering complaints and concerns. All positions in the district have current job descriptions, and applicants are interviewed and hired based on documentation verifying the requirements identified in the job descriptions, state employment standards, and federal guidelines, to include a criminal history, background history checks. The employment investigations, evaluations, and personal information are kept confidential pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated. CMCSS salary schedules are reviewed on a yearly basis and compared to similar districts. Finally, the culture and work of the district is annually reviewed and realigned through strategic planning process. Chairman Griffey, this concludes Executive Limitation 3.
Do you have a motion to accept the report? A motion to accept and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, please open the vote. Is everyone satisfied with your vote? Please close the vote. It passes 7-0. And I didn't say it out loud, but the motion was made by Chris, and the second was made by, I can't call his name tonight, Aaron, on the end. All right. Report, CMCSS School Programs of Choice. Dr. Linnevetter.
Yes, Board. A few weeks ago, a board member had asked for additional information about our programs of choice. So tonight, Chief Academic Officer Dr. Shanda Dowdy is going to share a few more details about the choices available for CMCSS families.
Good evening, Board. It's always a privilege to get to present the great work of our teachers, assistant principals, and the great things we have going on in CMCSS. Tonight, I'm excited to present to you the CMCSS choices that are available for our families. Let's first start by talking about the things that we classify as choice for our families. We have schools and programs of choice. We have career and technical programs. We have a pre-kindergarten program that continues to grow and explode. We have open enrollment opportunities, and we allow special transfer requests. I'm pleased to stand before you tonight and let you know that over 20% of the families in CMCSS have made decisions including these programs of choice, which equates to around 7,500 of our kids. Let's talk a little bit about what programs of choice entails. We offer our families several non-traditional schools and programs of choice. Each is designed to allow our families to choose schools and programs to help their children reach their potential. CMCSS provides an application window that's open for a set amount of time so that families can choose to apply or enroll in these programs. Let's define several of these. Let's start with the CMCS K-12 virtual. Currently, we have over 800 students in our district that participate in education through our CMCSS K-12 virtual. The joy of the program that we've created in our district and what makes it very unique is that our kids are educated every day by certified Tennessee teachers. Not only are they educated in all of the traditional subject areas, they're also provided with RTI intervention and extracurricular sports and activities. That makes our program very unique and special. Continuing on, our students have the choice of the More Magnet STEAM School. If you're like me, a few years ago we called it STEM. Well, they've added the A, which makes it even more special now, and it stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Math. Our students that attend our More Magnet STEAM School have the opportunity from kindergarten through 5th grade to be immersed in a variety of problem-solving activities centered around all of those activities. Very engaging environment. Additionally, More Magnet was the first school in the state to receive the STEM designation a few years ago, and they are our first CMCSS Green certified school. Very exciting for the teachers and the students in that program of choice. Also, we have the Spanish Immersion program at Barksdale, and this year we expanded that program to Richview for the 6th grade. We're proud of this program as it fully immerses our kids from kindergarten through 6th grade. They learn everything in Spanish and in English. Our students leave that program completely fluent. When you enter a kindergarten class in the Spanish Immersion program, if you don't know Spanish, like myself, you're not going to know what they're talking about because everything is in Spanish. And it is so exciting to see the engaging activities and opportunities that our students have there. Again, this year we expanded that to Richview Elementary School, and they're fully immersed there in English and in social studies. Also, you'll probably recall that the Spanish Immersion program at Barksdale was a blue ribbon school, which we're very proud of. We also have the Middle College at Austin Peay. The Middle College at Austin Peay provides our student with a college-bound pathway. It's a transitional program. There are 3 options our students can enroll in there, and I think sometimes our community misses that there are 3 pathways with the Middle College. People think it's just the Middle College, but there's actually 3 options there. One of those is the Fine Art pathway, and I'm going to consult my notes so I don't miss any of those important pathways. Our students who choose the Fine Art pathway pathway at the middle college have the opportunity to study alongside the esteemed professors at Austin Peay in music, theater, dance, and visual arts. So I think that's very important. Additional, there's a transitional pathway program, which is what the majority of our students study on. It means that while they're still finishing their high school credits, their junior and their senior year, they're also taking college credits, and they will graduate high school, continue on, and then also have a college diploma. The last pathway at middle college is an associate's degree pathway. These students are very dedicated because they actually go to school during the summer too, and when they graduate high school in May, they also graduate with an associate's degree. So 3 great programs of choice there for our students. The next one is the Early Technical College at TCAT. The Early Technical College at TCAT provides our students the opportunity to study diesel-powered equipment, HVAC, mechatronics, machine tooling, and pharmacy technology. So even within that ETC, they also have the opportunity to pick their pathway there. You'll also remember this, as we've referenced it several times, as students in these programs go out in the community and they work as well. So not only are they finishing their high school diploma, studying trades at ETC, but they're also out in our community working so that they can be experts in that field upon completion of their high school diploma and the ETC pathway that they're studying. The next program of choice is the Adult High School. This is a great opportunity for our community. Students 17 and up, and as you can see from the picture here, we have lots of community members who come back to the Adult High School. It's unique in that it gives our students, no matter the age, the opportunity to earn their high school diploma. So they're not getting a GED through this program. They're actually earning a high school diploma. It shows CMCSS commitment, not just to the kids that are 17, 18, and 19 years old, but also to our community members. Let's continue on and talk about our career and college and career academies that are offered at each high school. Basically, our college and career academies are a school within a school. The students that participate in the college and career academies have the opportunity to immerse themselves in a program of choice, and they get to participate in problem-based learning opportunities, and they also have work-based learning opportunities as they progress through their programs. Additionally, our academies partner with local employers to develop the curriculum. We bring our local community in as guest speakers, and we create real-world relevant student experiences for them so that when our students graduate high school from one of our academies, we know that they're solving problems in high school that they would also see as a future employee in our community. Let's outline some of these options that are available for our students. The first one is the Academy of Business and Marketing at Clarksville High School, Engineering and Design Academy at Kenwood High School. As I circulate through these, you will see that these are all topics and pathways of study that are very hot career opportunities in our state for our students right now, and they were selected for that reason. Additionally, the Supply Chain Management Academy at Kirkwood High School, that's our newest academy. The Academy of Plant and Animal Sciences at Montgomery Central High School. Computer Information Technology Academy at Northeast High School. The Health Sciences Academy at Northwest High School, Digital Media Art and Design Academy at Rossview High School, and West Creek High School actually has 2 academies, the Academy of Law and Criminal Justice, and they also have my personal favorite, the Academy of Teaching and Learning. That one's special. So in addition to the academies that are offered at all 8 of our high schools, students can actually go to their own high school and study a variety of these CTE pathways. So while they won't be going to a different school to study that, we have over 35 options of CTE pathways that are available over the 8 high schools. So I'd like to display a slide now that shows you all of the different current programs of study that are available in CMCSS. So just to highlight here, one of these is actually our structural systems program. My own son participated in the structural systems program, was able to obtain an OSHA 1010 certification that gave him a priority placement for an internship in college, where he was actually eventually able to be offered a job. So I've personally benefited from that one, but that just gives you an opportunity of the ways that our CTE programs prepare students. I was thankful he'd kept that little card he had obtained as a high school junior and was able to show it as a junior in college that he'd obtained that certification. But these CTE programs of study are more than just classes that our kids are participating in. They're also participating in dual enrollment, so if they want to go on in college to study that or something else, they have college credits, and they're earning industry certifications like the example that I just gave you with my own child. Our newest program of study, which is very exciting if you're not afraid of heights like myself, is the aviation, and we've actually had students who have studied and already obtained their private pilot license. And the aviation program is offered at West Creek and at Rossview. So very exciting. They have a flight simulator. People say it's wonderful. Maybe y'all can tour it sometime, but I won't be there. I'll go with you, but I'm not getting in. So. Additionally, I want to talk and highlight another program of choice here, and that's our pre-kindergarten program in CMCSS. As most of you already know, we have developmental pre-K and we have voluntary pre-K classes. These provide our students, my favorite words in this presentation are a joy of learning. And that's what we want our 3- and 4-year-olds to do. We want them to learn how to be educated and to love learning, and that's what our pre-K programs offer our kids, in addition to setting those foundational skills that they need. We also offer a peer model program for our students that serve as peer models for our students who are receiving special education services. You'll recall with me that we had the opportunity this year to open the St. Bethlehem Early Learning Center. We like to call it the St. B ELC. Of course, in education, we like to give everything an acronym. This year, we have 16 classrooms at the St. B ELC, but we're excited about next year when we will open at full capacity. We'll have over 30 classrooms of pre-K students in that building. Again, that joy of learning starting early here in CMCSS for kids who choose to participate in that. Also, we offer open enrollment in CMCSS. Open enrollment is an option at specific schools in grade levels with available capacity. This rotates year to year because the capacity at the school must be less than 90% with no more than 10 open seats per grade level with existing staffing ratios. So there's lots of factors that go into play with open enrollment. And if more requests are received, then we have spots available. We select those based on a lottery system. And last but not least, we also offer special transfer requests for our families in CMCSS. In particular, families may complete a special transfer request. It's now available online through March 15th to transfer a student to a school outside of their regular school zone. We've highlighted here some of the reasons that families could request a special transfer. The most prominent one per se is curriculum. So if I'm a high school student and I wanted to study aviation, but my typical zone school is Northeast, I could apply for a special transfer to go to Northeast or Rossview to do the aviation program. So again, lots of great, you'll see other things listed there like military continuity, house contract, and of course things like medical, family situations, etc. Any questions for me?
Mr. Garland.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
To be a part of the Spanish immersion class, can a child be of Hispanic descent and be part of that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because I thought at first it had to be.
I've never been told that, but I've only been in this role for 2 years, and in these 2 years, they take applications and they go through an enrollment process, and
They can be any nationality, any background. It's just not designed for fluent Spanish speakers already. So if it's a student who grew up and they were actually Spanish as their first language, because part of the screening is that students also have to be fully fluent in English, if that makes sense.
Okay,
but yes, their background does not matter.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mabry.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Incredible programs. Just curious, a couple of questions here. STEAM, is that the new industry standard name for that?
It is.
Okay, I was
Yes,
just
sir.
kind of curious about that. It's the first time I ever heard that. STEM sounds a little better for some reason.
Well, when you think about the STEM, art is always involved. When you walk in these classrooms, the kids are drawing, they're creating. It does have a creative processing side to it. So I think that's probably why they added it.
I get it, yeah. Spanish immersion going to Richview. So just kind of curious how that looks at the middle school. Of course, elementary school, it's their life. As I was hearing this being built for the future, it sounded like it was not going to be like their entire classroom experience. It's going to be certain, just maybe specific classes. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Exactly what you described, yeah. So it's ELA and social studies with a fluent Spanish-speaking teacher. We purchased curriculum so that those kids could learn that in a fully immersive program. Everything else, they're out in their regular day with their peers.
Thank you. That sounds awesome. I know that was very important for those parents as they got into middle school years, and it's amazing that we've gotten to that point at this already.
We're already planning for ninth grade. So.
There we go. I love that. I do want to point out that I think it's funny that the Kirkwood slide had a box that said Rossview. I just want to say that as a Rossview graduate.
I did too. It distracted me every time. I couldn't look at the slide because I wanted to say Rossview.
Right. Open enrollment, you talked about that. That's going on right now, right?
Correct, until March 15th.
That's what I wanted to put out there, the date for that, March 15th. I do want to say, I feel like the seeds of some of this stuff happened when I was in high school, so back in 2000, back when I was with you at Rossview, and I actually learned a lot of web development stuff back then, and have had a career for 20 years in web development, graphic design, all that, and it really started from back when I was in high school. So being able to have these seeds within development within, and actually, I mean, not even seeds in some cases. A lot of these kids are very talented. But when you go out of high school, what they can do with this is just absolutely incredible, and I love this. And I do want to encourage my board members here, my fellow board members, that if you've not gone through Leadership CMCSS, I'd highly recommend you going through that program because you actually be able to go and deep dive into these programs. And it's an absolutely incredible program. And I've seen a lot of these programs right up close within Leadership CMCSS. And just the Spanish immersion was my favorite part because I've seen kindergartners speak fluent Spanish. And I thought, wow, this is just absolutely incredible. But that's all I can say. Thank you.
Ms. Bryant.
Just a couple questions. I have friends that are super excited about the Spanish immersion program. I feel like I hear it from friends all over the place. What is the plans in the future, and you might not be able to answer this right now, but for growing that program, because I know there's definitely interest for it.
And I don't disagree. There is a lot of interest. However, right now we're not looking at expanding it beyond for a variety of reasons. And one of the big reasons, honestly, is staffing. Finding people who can teach those early literacy skills in both Spanish and English and cross. It takes a very special teacher to be in that classroom. But the next time we go on walkthroughs there, we'll invite you. We'd love for you to come and see it and to see what it takes to make that program run and be successful, because it is amazing, but you'll see why it almost, we have to kind of keep it small to get it right. And sometimes I think that's okay.
Yeah. I have some friends that are going through it, and they absolutely love it. And it is crazy because they don't speak Spanish, and you go and their kids are speaking Spanish. It's nuts.
It's kind of scary when they get older. They're going to be talking about you, and you're not going to know what they say, right?
Exactly, yeah. The other question that I have is the other academies and the CTE programs, what is the capacity of those, and do they fill up? Is there a lot of extra demand beyond what we can offer for those programs?
Just like with anything, I think what you're referencing are the academies where kids would go from one school to the other. Some of them do, yes. And I was actually just reviewing the numbers today of the applications for each one of those academies. Some of them will fill up, but again, I think a lot of times kids apply for an academy to go to a different school, not realizing still that opportunity may also be available at their home school. So it won't necessarily be that fully immersive experience they would get in the academy, but they can still study that CTE pathway. So several of them did have more applications than they would have spots, but several of them still have spots available.
Okay, awesome. Thank
So
you.
it's hit or miss.
Yeah.
Mr. Lanier.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know people have asked me lately about open enrollment. Open enrollment, you need to transfer your child or transport them. You're on your own for transport.
That's
right?
correct. Yes, sir.
And then the special transfer to the different academies, so you can actually attend one high school, but then go for just that specific study at a different high school.
You would go there for the whole day. So let's say, for purpose of example, if I were zoned for Clarksville High School and I went to the academy at Rossview, I would be a student at Rossview once I was accepted into that academy.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
When did that change? At one time, you could be a student at, say, Clarksville High School and attend an academy at a Rossview and still be a student of Clarksville High School. And we'd bust them back and forth.
And we do still provide transportation from some high schools to others, but if you're in the academy experience, you become a student at that school.
So for clarification, let's say I'm living in the Montgomery Central zone. I can catch my bus from my house at Montgomery Central and take that to Clarksville High and then catch a bus there to go to my academy.
Okay, that's what I remember then. I thought it was, most of my questions were answered. The Tech College has flexible hours, I believe. You didn't mention that.
It does, yes, sir.
So they got to work around the students' needs to get their education.
Yes, sir.
And we do not have transportation to that either, do we?
We do
We
have
Okay,
transportation.
to all the hours or just during regular school hours?
So the buses run, that's a
5 o'clock.
10 to 5:30 or 10 to 5 o'clock program. Part of that reason is so we can provide busing. So after the elementary routes, the high school routes, then they will pick those students up, drop them off for any students who need that. The other part of it was just to work around the technical stuff because they've got a full program with adults. So some of, our kids, after they shut down at 2, can then still have those same courses.
Okay.
It also allows for that work-based learning and that time that she was mentioning about some actual work.
Had several wrote down, but I think that's the only one someone else didn't ask. So I appreciate it. Thank you for your report.
All right, no problem. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity.
Next item, comments. Fort Campbell School Liaison Officer. Don't see her tonight. CMCA Representative.
Good evening. Over the past few months, there's been much discussion about what is best for public education in our state. The primary focus of the educators in the Clarksville-Montgomery County School District is to provide the best education possible to every student who enters our school buildings, and it remains so despite the passage of the Education Freedom Act of 2025. Assurances that our public schools will not be adversely affected by this program are difficult, if not impossible, to keep, based on what we've seen in other states who have created similar programs. Despite our concerns, the members of the Clarksville-Montgomery County Education Association remain steadfast in our focus to partnering with district leaders, school board members, and families to advocate for the resources, policies, and laws that will ensure Clarksville-Montgomery County is the best place in which to live, teach, and learn. As we all follow the happenings in Nashville, please commit to having discussions with CMCEA about how legislation considered in Nashville will realistically and directly impact our school district. Let us join together to monitor the General Assembly to ensure that great public schools remain open. I will also be in the meeting on February 25th at Burt Cobb to have these discussions that was previously mentioned. So I hope y'all join us.
PET Representative.
Good evening, Dr. Linda Vetter and school board members. It's already snowing outside, and I am going to get home really fast, so this is going to be quick and short. I just wanted to let you be aware of a bipartisan bill that's coming up in the legislative session right now. It is Senate Bill 0124, I think, and then House Bill 0081. And I think it's something that's very, very important to all districts across the state because it would require school districts to send a student's disciplinary record to their new school within 3 days of their transfer date. Being at the elementary level, we get the education records, we can get the IEP, but we don't always get that disciplinary record if there is one available. So I think this is going to help impact our middle schools and high schools more so, because we know they deal with more intense disciplinary actions and procedures than we do. So I just wanted you to be aware of that law, or that bill that's coming up.
Comments by county commissioners? Thank you. Comments by board members? Mr. Garland.
Yeah, I would like to thank everyone that actually spoke tonight. And truly, we do have concerns about what's going on down in Nashville. Nashville, it can be a plus, it can be a menace. Right now, it's not our best friend. And I tell you the reason why. They've gotten the voucher bill through. Now they're talking about tackling DEI. DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I think this is something that we as a community, we need to be proud that we do have diversity within our district. If this bill passed, I think, based on what Trump is doing, if this bill passed, then we're going to have to cut it out of all of the curriculum. When we're going out recruiting teachers, people, educators, I believe that this is what this bill is intended to do. And the person that's carrying the bill, they say they're doing it because this is what Trump wants. But my question is, what do we want as citizens of Montgomery County? We need to be very honest with our legislators and with ourselves. We need people down in Nashville that's representing the people of their community, not a party, not an individual. Thank you, Dr. Luna, for all that you and the teachers and the staff is doing. You're doing an excellent job. What you briefed here tonight shows that we have a district that's second to none. We don't need what they're trying to spread. But because of what happened in January, we are going to be caught up in it simply because our tax dollars are going to be going to send rich kids, most of them are not going to be black, to private schools. And I'm just serious. It's just me. I might be out of my lane, but the bottom line is I've been around long enough to know that when you go across the nation, those schools never bring forth the ideal circumstances that they say they are. Ask Arizona, ask Texas, ask those people that actually tried it and it has failed. And you know what, Tennessee? We're going to fail too, but it's going to be after we have spent many local tax dollars to try to make sure that we can get rich kids in private schools. Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayberry.
I had an opportunity to watch a board meeting this week, and I was just kind of shocked how wild it was and how they did not follow decorum rules. And I just want to say I appreciate the decorum that we keep as a board, especially in looking at that board meeting, how we follow Robert's Rules of Order, and how we, by and large, had mutual respect for one another. I just want to say that I appreciate that amongst our board. Thank you.
Mr. Lanier.
Just want to add something to a future agenda. I'd like for Dr. Lunavetter and the staff to look over at the policy and the student code of conduct as it relates to the use of communication devices with students, and just ask that you put that on the agenda at some point in the future. Thank you.
Is April okay for that? For it to be on the agenda? Work session? We'll add it to the April work session. Ms. Bryant.
I just want to say I love seeing so many people here. Thank you guys for showing up. I've been showing up to school board meetings for about 5 years now, and there's many times when this room is completely empty. And even though we might not agree on a lot of things, some things we might, I don't know. I just really appreciate you guys showing up and getting involved. So this is great. Let's get more people here and involved for our kids. The other thing I wanted to say is we had my daughter's on the wrestling team at Central, and we had a kid that was very badly injured, Emmanuel. So just keep him in your prayers. I know they have a GoFundMe started for him. Usually I'm not a big fan of GoFundMe, but I think this is a good a good thing, so.
Ms. Berry?
It's one thing to say that you're committed to CMCSS, but when you love something or someone, you commit yourself to that love. You exemplify that love. You sacrifice for that love, and you serve that love faithfully. You don't cross over and support one thing and say another. I'm here because I love education. I love the children. I love the educators and what we do to make this a better society and community. And when you're on the flip side of that, you need to take a look at yourself. I'm not trying to judge anyone, but it is what it is. I love what we do. I love what I do as a board member. And I do what I say I'm going to do, and that is advocate for public schools. So I just want us to search ourselves, and you'll find the truth. Are you in it for the right reasons? Thank you.
I hate to be the only one that doesn't speak from the board tonight, so I won't be. I asked for the report on the schools' programs of choice be presented tonight, and the board member that Dr. Vetter mentioned. I did that because I wanted us as a school system and us as a school board to be more familiar with the ability to share the school choices that we have within our own district. I had lunch with Dr. Vetter about 2 years ago and told her that my goal, one of my goals, was for the system to be the system that everybody wanted to come to, because the employees were so happy that ours weren't leaving, but others wanted to come here. And also, now I want to say that I want this system to be the one that our students want to stay in, but the choices that they need to make, they have within the system. And I'd like to see the system work really hard on creating opportunities for more of the school choice within, make it more accessible, and become the school system with school choice that everybody knows about. We can't change what's happening in state law, but we can do our part by making it not affect Montgomery County. And I'd like to leave it with that. Dr. Linda Vetter.
Good evening, board members. With the impending snow, it sounds like beginning, we will have a day out of calendar tomorrow. This will be our second of 5 inclement weather days. Hopefully our students, employees, and families can enjoy a snow day together. We will continue to monitor weather and road conditions and make decisions on a day-to-day basis for the remainder of the week. Our thoughts and prayers do remain with Emmanuel Gilmore and his mom, who's one of our lead bus drivers, and the Montgomery Central community during his recovery process. Mr. Griffey, this concludes my report.
And that concludes our agenda. I want everybody to enjoy your second winter break.